a week now, and I've had a lot of time to reflect on my study abroad experience overall and the various ways in which it has impacted and affected me. Overall, I did have a really positive experience, and I think that I was impacted and affected and grew as a person in really positive ways. One of the ways that my study abroad experience affected me was that it really pushed and challenged and expanded my own perspective. I'm from a really culturally homogenous small town where almost everyone is American, white, vaguely Christian, all the same type of people really. Not a lot of opportunities for multicultural interactions for me growing up. So I feel really grateful that I was able to participate in this specific program, especially because I was able to interact with people of a different culture of my own age and have so many close interactions with them and become friends with them. So I think that was really beneficial. And I also think that in terms of expanding my horizons and expanding my worldview, it was beneficial for me to be put into a situation as a white American English speaker, which is a very privileged identity to have. It was very beneficial for me to be put in a situation where I was not that majority, linguistically, racially, culturally, etc. I thought it was really humbling and kind of eye-opening to be in a room full of people that maybe didn't speak English or whose first language wasn't English, because that has never really happened to me before going on this trip. And I think it just helped me think from a new perspective and build empathy for me when thinking about people in America who English is not their first language. So I'm really grateful to have had that experience and felt humbled by that and build my empathy around that. Additionally, I think that culture is a very hard thing to reflect upon, especially when you don't have much experience with other cultures. So being able to be immersed in another culture was a really great way for me to be able to reflect upon my own American culture and kind of bring to light those not very tangible, not very easily observable aspects of culture that I've just grown up with and kind of accepted as the way it is. For example, we talked a lot about how in Japanese culture it's the norm to be a lot more polite when speaking and not as explicit. A lot of what is said in Japanese is very implicit or not spoken verbally at all. Whereas in America, we tend to be really blunt and explicit and maybe not care as much about other people's feelings or the good of the group. We just want to get our own opinion across or our own thoughts and feelings across. So I think that was something I never really noticed was a part of American culture before going on this trip and seeing how it contrasted. Else that affected me on the study abroad trip was the inquiry project and being able to engage with a really self-directed form of learning and a self-guided project. I never really had an experience like that before. I struggled with it a little bit. I definitely felt challenged, but I was also really intrigued by the opportunity to kind of guide my own learning and be led exclusively by my own interests and observations when researching my topic of how nature related to Japanese culture. So I'm really grateful that I had that experience, although looking back, I do sort of wish I had done a better job with it, but I think now I feel more prepared for future assignments, sort of in that vein, and more advanced projects where I will be inevitably guiding my own learning more than having an instructor or professor guide it. So I do feel grateful that I had that experience because I feel more prepared to engage with a project of that sort going forward. Lastly, I was affected by the relationships that I was able to form with the students that we met abroad. We made such good friends with the Shimane students and the Tokyo Gakuen students in such a short period of time. I feel really honored to have had that experience and honestly kind of surprised that it happened, because I've been a part of other programs before where maybe the program leader or the description will say like, oh, you're gonna make lifelong friends. I'm like, okay. But on this program, really do feel like I made good friends with other people. I'm still in contact with a lot of the people I met in Japan, which I didn't expect to happen, and I'm really grateful to have built those friendships, definitely. Not only was I positively impacted by that experience just by making friends and having new friends, but I feel a lot more ready and willing to approach new people now, especially people who maybe are culturally or linguistically different from myself. I've never really done that before at MSU or otherwise, but I kind of feel like maybe a language barrier or cultural barrier that I thought would be a hurdle to making friends is definitely not as big of a hurdle as I previously thought. I know that now I can definitely make good friends with people whose first language is English, people who grew up with a very different background or in a different country. So I'm really grateful to just kind of have actualized that epiphany. I never thought that I couldn't be friends with non-American people or people who didn't speak English, but there's definitely kind of a social separation there, but I for sure feel a lot more comfortable engaging with students like international students or students who don't speak English as a first language, just people in general, honestly. So I'm really grateful for that, definitely. Overall, I had a really positive time on the study abroad program, what with the school visits and the education-related field of it, the inquiry project, which pushed me to be a more self-guided learner, making new friends and feeling more confident, making friendships with people who are linguistically or culturally different, just pushing my own perspective and continuing to grow and expand my horizons. Everything about it was really great, and I'm definitely going to recommend this program to my peers at MSU, so I feel really grateful coming back from it just to have had that experience.